Welcome to my farm.
Thank you.
Honestly, poultry farming is very lucrative, but to 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 be able to be successful in poultry farming, you have to have first of all capital, space, and a lot of time because that's the most important thing. And to begin with, poultry, these ones we have three types basically. We have three types of the birds, which are the layers, cockerels, and the broilers. The broilers are meant for meat. They grow very fast, and within 2.5 months to 3 months, they are ready for slaughtering. You can, or you can sell them, or and you get the weight you want. But rearing them is capital intensive, as I said. And the second one is cockerel. They also are capital intensive, but very adaptable to all conditions. So it is easy to rear them, but they take longer period to mature for slaughtering. They take about 8 months to 1 year to get to the slaughter level. Yeah, and these are layers, and we have white layers, we have brown layers like this. Even we have black layers which lay black eggs as well. So these layers, they lay the brown egg. They are very easy to rear, but bringing them up to the age of laying eggs is very, I won't say difficult, but a bit challenging when you don't have the time, the money, and the space. But if you have all these basic things I've mentioned, with this, you get them from their old chick, from day one, when they are right hatched from the egg. When you get them, you start with them, you start giving them antibiotics, vitamins, antibiotics, so that it will prevent them from any diseases. You give them glucose in their water on the first day, and then antibiotics, and then you buy their food. They have special feed that you have to buy them. You start them with chick starter. You start them with chick starter. Without the chick starter, I'm telling you, you are going to do, how do you call it? Like a filter kind of. So chick starter, and then their water has to have antibiotics in it. And you have to take them, you have to give them chick starter for 8 weeks, which is 2 months. And the water they drink with antibiotics. And their first week, that is 7 days, you have to give them their first gumboro, a medicine you have to buy and put in their water. It's an antibiotic. First gumboro. And then the second week, that is 14 days, you have to get them second gumboro. That is the second, they are 14 days. And on the third week, you have to give them first Newcastle in their water to prevent them from that disease, Newcastle disease. And then on the fourth week, you have to also give them second Newcastle. That is for the prevention of the Newcastle diseases. Yes. And then as it goes on, you'll be giving them vitamins to help them eat very well to survive. And when you get to their fourth week, after their 4 weeks, then you have to plan of either removing or debeaking them, because it has to be done at the very early age. Some people do it after they are about 12 weeks. But if you want it very fast so that they will not hurt themselves, you can do the debeaking very early age stage. So after their fourth week, then you have to plan of what? You have to plan of injecting them fowl pox to prevent them from having the fowl pox. That is on their fourth week. You have to give them fowl pox, and then you keep feeding them for about 8 weeks with vitamins, and that is all. So after 8 weeks, then you start using grower mash. After 8 weeks, you start giving them grower mash. As you give them grower mash in their 8 week, then you have to deworm them. You have to buy dewormer, put in their water for them to drink, and then you deworm them. So after the 8 weeks, you keep giving them grower mash with some vitamins, pure vitamins. This time, not vitamin antibiotic, but pure vitamins. They are different between the two. The vitamin antibiotic also help them to prevent bacteria, but the pure vitamins just give them the energy to eat and to grow well for you. And also in feeding them, you have to be cautious. You have to be cautious, or you have to take caution of the quantity you give them. So some of the farmers weigh the food because every fowl has the quantity of food they have to eat till they grow. If you give them too much, they'll be big and oily and they can't lay. And if you give them too less, they'll be lean and they can't lay. They will lack the vitamins, but it has to be moderate. You understand? That one too. You can either measure it or you can look by the way, or you can be weighing the animals and see their weight per their age, and then you proceed with the feeding. So from 18 weeks, then you have to start expecting eggs, one from them. At this period, you are giving them the grower mash. So you start seeing the sign. 1, 2, 3 of them will start laying. So when they lay up to 5% of them, no matter the number, if you are having 1,000, 1,005, when 5% of the 1,000 start laying, then from there, then you change their feed to layer mash. From that, then they'll be able to lay 100%. But before they lay 100%, then they will be, by then they will be at 21 weeks of age. That's when all of them will start laying 100%. And also, I'm not sure you will get 100%. If you have 100 birds, at least you have to have 95, 98 birds laying out of the 100 by the age of 21 weeks. You have to get them laying. And if you see drop in the laying, if the 195 are laying and you start seeing 80, 82, 79 laying, then there's a problem. You either see your veterinary or you start giving them vitamins or you deworm them at that time. Or sometimes too, the weather fluctuations also causes the dropping in the laying. If there's too much heat, it may drop. If there's too much cold, it may drop. So where there is too much cold, you use plastics, rubber, to cover the place. When there's too much heat, you open the rubbers, let air also enter. And also sometimes distraction, human, how do you call it? Is it interference? Also cause the distraction for dropping in the laying. Because sometimes they want to be confined to be able to lay. But if people are passing by, some kind of intimidating them or something like that, it drops in their lane because they want to be in comfort to lay. So these ones, as you see, they are at their 19th week. So I see eggs. It comes. So we are waiting to see up to their 21 weeks of age, then we can determine. And among them, you can see bad layers and good layers. Bad layers, when you touch them, they just jump. You see, for this one, for instance, it's a good layer. You see, when you touch them, they just squat. But the bad layers, when you touch them, they just jump and run away. So you can select them out and put them aside. That is how it goes. And there are a lot of information. And also, with the pen, or let me say the housing, we have only two types, basically, which is the deep litter. This one I am using deep litter, and there is the battery cage, and they all have advantages and disadvantages. The battery cage is the one with the iron under, with the metals under them, where the droppings will go under, and then you collect, and then the egg will just come out. You just pick your thing. As easy as that. But with that one, that is the advantage. It makes picking of the eggs easy. It makes collecting of the dump very easy. But also the disadvantage is that it doesn't give them the space to move around, to do the natural acts they are to do, like picking things, grooming themselves and all that. They don't have the chance of doing that. And sometimes we will give them their
limbs,
feet problem or leg problem. You understand? That is one advantage. That is some disadvantages of that. And also with the deep litter, it gives them the opportunity. The advantage is that it gives them the opportunity to do all these natural, move around freely, do all the natural activities they are supposed to do, like the, digging of the ground and all that. And it also gives them the opportunity to lay freely. But the disadvantage of the deep litter is also that you'll be collecting the dump, and also in terms of picking the eggs, it's very tedious. Sometimes if you don't take care, you may even step on some. You understand? Sometimes they may even cover some. And also another disadvantage is that it makes them brood, because if they lay, they want to lie on the egg. If they lie on the egg, or if they go and sleep on the egg, it's a disadvantage because they'll spoil the egg. And such birds are lazy. So that's another disadvantage. It won't help you to have, but in all have advantages and disadvantages. But to me, I would prefer the battery cage.
The battery cage.
The battery, though I'm doing deep litter, but battery cage is a bit simple. Convenient too, you understand? But it takes space, a lot of space, because this space about 250 birds will enter, but when it is deep litter, a battery cage, you have about 90 to 100. So that is another disadvantage with the battery cage. You understand? It's very convenient, but it takes much space. You understand? And it involves little activity than the deep litter. Deep litter requires time and activity, but the battery cage, when it is properly managed or properly designed, it's very convenient, and it takes a little time because they can do things on their own.
Okay, so with this type, how do you clean up the coop?
You clean it. It's easy. When they see you cleaning it, they all gather
at one side
because they don't like the noise you are making and the way you are collecting the things. So it frightens them. They move aside for you to collect. Then you pour the sawdust. Then you move to where they are, and they'll come back to where you have already stopped. Or if you want it easily done, then do it in the night. You do it in the night, that one you'll be free because they'll just be there watching you after then they come. So that is it doesn't have any problem when you're cleaning them.
Okay. You mentioned that there are different types of the birds. How do you differentiate between the layers, the broilers, the cockerel, and all that?
Good. In their early stage, they all look alike. They all look the same. But with the layers, the brown one, in the early stage, you see them. You see the color. You see that they are brown. Even among them, they are cockerels. You understand? So it all starts from from the selection of the eggs. With the broiler, they are also white and they are brown. But with them, they grow very fast. Within 2 weeks, they start achieving certain weights, unlike the layers or the cockerels. The same thing applies with the cockerels. They also 6 weeks age of cockerel is not like 6 weeks age of how do you call it?
The layers,
the broilers. And if you see them from day one, broilers are very thick and big as a chick from day one. But the cockerel, you see them, they are very tiny, just like the domestic ones we've been doing, very small.
Yes.
It's the same thing with them. But in that same way too, we have types. Let me say these brown layers, there are types, more than 5. You understand?
The breeds.
The breeds. Sorry, the breeds are different. As I'm saying, you can even see some and think they are broilers, but they are not. It's a breed. Some come from Holland. These ones, for instance, they come from Ivory Coast.
Okay.
They come from Ivory Coast here, and some come from Kumasi, Boris B. You understand, and all that. You understand? So you can tell, and it also depends on the veterinary who is advising you and the kind of breeds he think or he will suggest for you, the weather or your environment where you are. And also the environment will determine the kind of bird you should buy. So for me, to begin or to start your
Poultry
farming, I think you should consult with a veterinary doctor or officer or your agricultural extension officer, and they will guide you. And also, every bird has a type of feed that helps them, so they can eat anything at all if you buy them. Not anything per se, but a feed from different brands or companies. They can eat it, but certain birds like certain kind of minerals in their feed. You understand? Some birds, when you give them fish in their feed, they'll eat and die, or they'll start bringing out certain drop or waste which are not so much good, because we determine their sickness through their droppings. You understand? So it will depend the kind of breed you are using and the kind of feed you are giving them. Yes.
Okay. And so the kind of feed you are giving them is you buy that feed to give them?
Yes, you buy that feed. We buy. We have in this. I, for instance, I use Sankofa and Asa.
Okay.
You understand? Here we have different breeds. We have different food. We have Gaffa, we have Sankofa, we have Asa, we have Kujis, we have Champis. Some are coming from Holland, and some are coming from how do you call this place? German. You understand? The Kujis, the Champis. Kujis, for instance, is coming from Holland. It's very good but very expensive. 50 kilos is 250 cedis.
Okay.
Very, very expensive.
And how long does that last?
Let me tell you, these birds you see here, they eat one bag of. I don't buy Champis, I buy Asa. That is the cheapest, to be frank with you. That is the cheapest. And one is 100 cedis. 90 Ghana and 1 cedi. 91 cedi. Yes, 91 cedi, right? Yes, and they eat it. They eat 3/4 of it a day.
Wow.
So that means every 2 days or every 3 days, I buy 2 bags. 90 Ghana, 90 Ghana, 2.
For a population like this?
For a population like this. But if it is, for example, let me say if it is 500 birds, you have to give them one bag
Per day.
Per day. Sankofa is 110 cedis.
Wow.
So if you buy one bag for them, it is 10 cedi every day. 110 every day. So total. Yes. And the interesting thing is that you start this with them from day 1 to 6 months. That is 21 weeks. And from 21 weeks, they can start laying to 85 weeks, which is 2 years and above. You understand? And when you talk of, I know you'll be wondering or you'll be surprised as how do we make profit or how do we, yes.
Exactly.
That is why I say to start, it's very, very capital
intensive. Okay, so let me chip this in. If a new farmer wants to start poultry farming, what do you think, budget-wise, what do you think is the right amount to have to start poultry farming?
It's differ depending on the number you want to start with, and depending on whether you want it as a hobby, as a part-time, or as full-time.
Okay.
That is the thing. So if you don't know where you are heading, I'm telling you, you will just waste your time and money.
Okay.
The thing is, so if a new farmer or somebody wants to start afresh, if for business-wise, to me, you have to start with 500.
Okay.
Because the time and the money you put in 100 is the same time and energy you put in 500.
Okay.
So you begin with 500 if you want it as a business. So with 500 as a business, then I'm telling you, roughly, you have to have something like, if there's something like 20,000 to start with you. Yeah. 20,000, that's rough estimation.
Okay.
And as I'm saying this, it's only about your feeding your trough, and your beds. We are not
Not
talking
about the cage, the housing.
The housing, yes.
Okay.
Yes, you have to have something like 20,000.
So if someone wants to start as a hobby, like how many beds must a person
As a
get?
hobby, highest you should be like 50 beds.
50 beds.
Yes, that is one box, one crate. Because they sell it box. And
Okay.
every box has 50 beds in it.
Okay.
So you can start from 20 to 50. It's okay for a hobby. Part-time can start with 100, 150. You understand?
Okay.
And these 50 beds will give you, when they start laying, they will give you about a crate. Let me say a crate and a half a day. And a crate and a half a day will move you because 50 beds will eat. We'll eat one bag for a week or a week and a half. Let's say 10 days.
Okay.
So by that 10 days, if they lay consistent, they'll be able to give you the money to buy them the food and also get something
to put in your pocket.
You understand? But the whole problem is when to start them from day 1 to the 21
The 21 weeks.
Yes, because they will eat,
Yes.
they will drink, and you have to medicate them. They
Yes.
will collect waste.
Yes.
You understand? Yes.
So if it's a hobby, like how much are we looking at to start?
Oh, as a hobby, at least 1,000 cedis. If you want everything from day 1 to 1,000 cedis can start with you and will push you, and you will not feel it.
Okay.
You understand? You only feel
That's
it
with
when
50
you don't
beds.
have- that's for 50 beds.
Okay.
1,000 will push you. 1,000 will push you. Yes.
So with this, like how much does one bed cost?
One bed, depending on where it's coming from. If it is coming from Holland, it costs 6 cedi 50 pesos.
Okay.
You order it, you bring it, you go and pick it at the airport. But if you are buying it locally here, it's 50 cedis. 50 cedis, and some places 55 cedis. 5 cedi 50
5
pesos.
cedi, 50
Sorry,
pesos.
5 cedi 50 pesos or 5 cedis, depending on whom you are buying from. Some come from Kumasi here, and others come from how they call it. And it is good to go to the company you buy the beds and for them to produce you the feed.
The feed.
That will be very easier and convenient for you, so that you not record any death or
Yes.
yes. Okay.
So how many times do you feed them in the day, or you just put in the day decide on when to feed and?
And you feed them twice a day.
Okay.
Twice a day, early morning and mid-afternoon, or let me say late in the afternoon, around 1, because they sleep. Unlike broiler don't sleep, they eat day and night. But with they eat day and night, but with layers they sleep. So you have to give them in the morning. By afternoon they finish eating, then you add, and then they'll eat. By 4 they are done eating, and they will rest, because they don't eat overnight. They don't eat in the night like broilers. Broilers they eat day and night. So they too, they have their own way.
Okay. Which of them sells fast?
Sells fast.
The cockerel, the layers, the broiler.
If you talk of selling, because they all have their
unique
peculiar way
purpose.
of doing things and purposes. Yes. With the broiler, it's for meat. So with the broiler, you sell them as in when they are ready for slaughter.
Okay.
But with this one, you make them purposely for eggs. You see them at this age. Now that they have started laying, they will lay for about 2 years.
Okay.
So that is where you have to recoup what you have put in. And it's not as a smooth ride as you see it. If you don't put in the proper practices, they may not lay for you, so probably the money you've put inside will
be lost.
So these ones, it's only at the end of the day that you sell them. In some countries, they are not meant for eating after, because their meat will be very hard. Their bones will be very hard to crush, even the meat to chew. So some people don't sell, but here some people prefer the hard meat.
Yes.
So it's been sold after. Anytime you see people buying such beds, it is after they are
finished laying. Their
when
fertile period is out.
Yes, that is when people will start selling them. But with the broiler, if you start from your first week to 8 weeks, so 2 months, 2.5 months, you are done. You can sell them and make your money. That is if you have the customers to buy.
To buy them.
Yes, if you don't have the customers, you can freeze
Exactly.
them. You can freeze them and then put them there. So you have, but if you don't have the customers, I'm telling you, it's also another issue.
Okay, so what's the name of your farm again, please?
The name is Kwarere Farms.
Kwarere Farms.
Yes,
Kwarere Farms. Yes. And you're located at Elang.
Elang,
Awoshu.
Yes, Elang,
All right,
Awoshu.
all right. Can we have your contact number, please?
Oh yes, my contact is 0276 891201.
Kindly repeat it.
0276 891201.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Sani Ufailu, for giving us an in-depth explanation to starting a poultry farm and then how to take care of them, as well as how to maximize profits from them. We really appreciate this gesture that you have shown us, and inshallah I'll be getting in touch with you for further resourceful advice and anything that we need for poultry farms. So don't forget, it's Kwarere Farms. With your if you want to start a poultry farm, if you want some birds to buy, if you need some chicken to chew, you can always get in touch with Mr. Sani Ufailu, and then he will get you sorted. Delivery service is also available, so don't forget, it's Kwarere Farms. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.